Hey friends, let's get moving. Today I have a core class for you. And so remember that your core is not just your abs, but that your core even includes your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, some muscles in your hips, and muscles along your spine and in your back, as well as muscles on your waist. So we're not just going to be working on our abs, but we'll work on those too. So you'll need a blanket and a block for this class. We're gonna start on our backs on the ground. Come on down. And you're gonna place a blanket or a pillow of some kind underneath your shoulders and head. Okay, so it's just underneath the very tip top of your shoulder. It doesn't have to come all the way down to your shoulder blades. Just right there at the top for some extra support. Okay, and make sure that you can reach your feet. Fingertips can touch the heels. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, press your hips up away from the ground. Press into your feet and let the hips bridge up. Inhale, set it down. Exhale to lift. Inhale down. Exhale to lift. Okay, so we're not lifting up super duper high at all, but this time go ahead and put your hands on your low belly. Exhale to lift. And as you lift up, could you feel some tone come into your abdominal muscles? Try it one more time. Go ahead and inhale and exhale. Hopefully you can feel your abdominal muscles waking up a little bit as kind of a little belly warm up, if you will. Go ahead and set your hips back down on the ground. And then from here, you're gonna place your hands down by your sides, and you can bring your feet together, and maybe you just put your tippy toes on the ground. Okay, that's one option. Another option is to lift your feet away from the ground. You can play around with the distance between your thighs and your torso. If your thighs are more perpendicular to the ground, where your knees are stacked over your hips, it's going to be a little bit more of a load for your core to stabilize. It's going to be a little easier if you have your thighs closer to your torso. Okay, so I'm going to keep mine kind of stacked here, keeping my legs together. Okay, we're going to point the knees to one side and to the other, just back and forth like this. So if your thighs are closer to your torso, it's going to look like this. And your job is to breathe. A lot of times when we do, especially ab workouts, it can feel hard to breathe. But remember, your diaphragm is part of your core. So if you're holding your breath, you're not working your whole core. And go ahead and relax. Bring your feet back down to the ground. Take a full breath in and out. Okay, reach for your block now. Okay, so there's a few options here. One option is to keep your feet on the ground and hold your block like so, where you have your hand, block, thigh, okay? Another option is to lift that right leg. We're starting on the right, is to just lift the right leg only, and you're gonna have to decide how much you want your arms straight or your elbow bent, whatever works better for you. So you have a few options. I think I like it like this on the low setting so that my arm can stay straight. Another way that you can do this to increase the challenge is to lift both legs away from the ground. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, press your hand into your block and your knee into your block at the same time. And then inhale to relax. Exhale, press. So your other leg's not really doing anything, okay? So it can drop down if you get tired of holding it up. Inhale to relax. Exhale to press. Inhale, exhale. Okay, let's go ahead and stop that. Put that foot down and let's go over to the other side. So again, you might just be here with your foot on the floor, but you can still do a press with your thigh into the block and a press with your hand into the block. A little bit more challenge is going to be one leg up. More of a challenge would be both legs up, okay? So here we go. Take a breath in and exhale, press. Hand into block, knee into block. Inhale, relax that pulse. Exhale, press. Inhale, relax. Exhale, press. And relax. Bring your leg back down. Take a full breath in and out, really making sure to allow your body to expand when you inhale. Okay. So we're gonna build on this, but before we do, we're gonna scooch our way up to the wall. Okay, so I'm gonna move my blanket out of the way and scoot my body towards the wall. So I wanna be a comfortable distance from the wall so that when I put my hands against the wall, there's like a nice bend in my elbows. I don't feel too close and I don't feel too far away. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that my elbows are pointed up towards the ceiling. I'm not gonna let my elbows slack out to the sides. And as I push my hands into the wall, I'm gonna brace in my rib cage, okay? So I'm gonna hug my rib cage down into the ground, okay? Bringing the front ribs down towards my spine. And that's really gonna engage my upper abdominals. Okay, so I'm gonna brace like that, and then I'm gonna play around with lifting my legs. So maybe I start out with just one leg at a time and seeing how my body responds to that, seeing if I can maintain the push through my arms, the hug of my ribs as I lift one leg at a time. So if that feels easy to lift one leg at a time, maybe you can lift both legs. So you might have to bring the knees a little bit closer into the torso to make that feel manageable, or you can keep the knees kind of stacked over the pelvis. Can you breathe with your ribs and your abdominals braced? Great job. Okay, go ahead and set your feet back down and bring your arms down. Take a full breath in and out. Okay, so from here, we're gonna stay kind of close to the wall. If it felt difficult to brace with your ribs, maybe keep that blanket under your head as we continue, because we're gonna build on some of these actions and combine them together. Okie dokie. So coming back to block on the leg. So whether you were block on the leg with the foot on the ground or block on the leg with the knee, with the thigh lifted, it's your choice, whichever one you're at. Go ahead and find that press. So take a deep breath in and exhale, press, hand into block, knee into block. Okay, and then you can use your left hand on the mat or on the ground beside you to kind of support and brace. See if you can extend and bend that left leg any amount. Maybe you just keep the leg kind of close in towards the torso. It's gonna add a little bit more challenge to extend the leg further. You can keep the leg lifted or you can slide it along the ground, okay? So lots of options, but keep that press between your hand and your knee for 3, 2, and 1. Okay, both feet down, block down, take a full breath in and out. Okay, let's do the other side. Get set. Can you connect with that feeling of bracing the ribs down like we had when we had our hands against the wall? Here we go. Take a breath in. Exhale. Push, hand into block, knee into block. And then you can play around with moving that right leg. So it might be a small movement. And I'm feeling like on this side, something is a little bit different. And I think I'm gonna keep it a small movement for myself here. Feels a little vulnerable the further out away from my torso I take the leg. So find what's kind. And I like to just keep a hand on my abdomen, and I just like to feel around and see how the muscles are engaging. Keep the press for 3, 2, and 1. Relax down. Okay, full breath in and out. Okay, now we're gonna combine the action of the press, the movement of the opposite leg, and stabilizing at the wall. So we're gonna start with the block on the right leg, okay? And again, you can do this with your foot on the ground. Go ahead and put your left hand to brace at the wall, or to push at the wall and brace your ribs down, okay? And then take a breath in, exhale, press, hand into block, knee into block, okay? I'm starting with my foot down on the ground, and then if it feels well, I'll up the level, okay? So from here, I'm gonna take my left leg and extend and bend. Okay, that's feeling pretty manageable for me. So I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna lift my legs. Oh, I need to change the block so that it fits. Okay, I've got that press. It's something. So again, you can always keep your leg movement really centered. That is a tricky, kind of a mean challenge, isn't it? For 3, 2, 1. I'm sure my face is like beet red right now. Go ahead and relax. So make sure that you give your body this full breath in and out to fully expand and narrow. Other side. Okay, so again, I'm gonna start with my left foot on the ground. Right hand braces at the wall. Ribs are bracing down. I'm gonna take a breath in. Exhale, hand to block, knee to block. And then I'm gonna just explore moving this right leg. Okay, that's feeling good. So from here, I think I'm going to lift my left leg up and continue with the left leg up. But again, I'm keeping this right leg a little bit closer in. Keep breathing. Keep the press for 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Ooh, that's evil. I'm sorry. I'm really a nice person. Take a full breath in and out. Let your belly expand. Okay, roll over to one side and sit up. I'm glad that the microphone is not here at my stomach because it just made the most terrifying sound. It's a little after lunchtime. I'm gonna have to eat soon. I didn't want to eat right before the core class, you know? Okay, come into an easy sitting position, a crisscross position. It might not be easy, I'm sorry. That was an old throwback from my yoga days. It's not an easy pose for a lot of people. If it's not an easy pose for you, sit up on your block or your folded blanket or both. Okay. So from here, lift your rib cage so you can see what that feels like. You know, you're kind of coming into a bit of a back bend. And then we're gonna let the ribs shine down over the pelvis, okay? So this is similar to the rib bracing that we did with our hands against the wall, but based on our relationship to gravity, you shouldn't need to use as much upper ab effort to keep your ribs in that position, okay? And then from here, you're gonna cross your arms, putting your hand on the opposite shoulder. Take a breath in and feel your back expand as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, swivel twist towards the left. So it's just your waist muscles that are rotating you here, not your arms or your shoulders. Take a breath in and exhale to the right, twist. Inhale back to center, exhale to the left. Inhale to the center, exhale to the right. So just keep going that way. Nice and slow. Controlled movement. You might notice that it's easier to twist in one direction than the other. I love swivel twists. I don't know why, they just feel so good. So we started on the left, we're gonna end on the right. Great job. Come back to center, release your arms, shake it out, wiggle it out a little bit here. Okie dokie. So now we're gonna transfer over to our hands and knees. If you want a blanket for support under your knees, please do that because we're gonna be lifting one knee at a time. And actually that reminds me, you do need the blanket because we're actually gonna fold it in half so that it's kind of bulked up and we're just gonna have it under one knee at a time. So I'm gonna start out with it on my right, under my right knee. Adjust your hands as needed so that your wrists are happy. And now as we start out, our pelvis is not level, right? The right side of the pelvis is higher than the left side of the pelvis. So I'm gonna take a breath in, and then as I exhale, I'm gonna level the pelvis. And when I do that, my left knee is gonna hover away from the ground. Inhale to set the left knee down, the pelvis goes askew again. Exhale to level the pelvis. Inhale to lower, exhale to level. So here we're using some of these like really deep, really tiny spinal muscles in the lower back. You might also feel some support from the core abdominal muscles, maybe even around the right hip as well. Little movement, big heat. This is a sneak attack. If you've ever seen the show Kim's Convenience on Netflix, Mr. Kim always talks about a sneak attack. This is my sneak attack. One more. Okay, and let's go ahead and come back and switch the blanket over to the left. And let's do this on the other side here. So as we start, the pelvis is askew. The left side is higher than the right side. So you're gonna take a breath in to prepare, and as you exhale, level the hips. And when you level the hips, the right knee is gonna hover off the mat. Inhale, exhale to level. Inhale to lower, exhale to level. So this is one of those exercises that maybe takes a little bit more mental focus. So the actual distance of the movement is much smaller, but we spend a nice long chunk of our time breathing to get into it and to get out of it, because that's going to just free up a little bit of mental space to focus on this small, tiny movement. Last one. Great job. Go ahead and get off your hands. If you need to shake them out to give your wrists a little TLC, do that. And then transfer onto your bum. Okay. I feel a yawn coming on. Now I called it out and it's not gonna happen, but it's like right there. So we'll see if it happens. Okay, so I'm gonna put my hands on my shins and I'm gonna lean back until my hands kind of slide up and hook right underneath my knees. And to keep my chest nice and open, I'm gonna rotate my elbow creases to point up towards the ceiling. Okay, so here you can let your ribs settle down again. Because of the way that we're stacked up here, you probably don't need as much upper ab activity as you did when we were bracing our ribs at the wall. Okay, so you might have heard of cat-cow or pelvic tilts. We're gonna be doing some pelvic tilts here in this position, trying to keep the rib cage and the rest of the spine pretty neutral and stable. So you can explore tucking the tailbone under, posterior pelvic tilt, and then angling the pubic bone towards the mat, anterior pelvic tilt. Okay, so you're just gonna go back and forth between the two extremes. Again, little movement. This is a little movement. So you might be here, just working on this. If you have extra awareness to spare, let's add a little drive with the legs, okay? So as you go to tuck your tailbone under, push your feet towards the front of your mat, away from your pelvis. As you go to reach the pubic bone towards the ground, drag. You're not really gonna slide your feet, okay? It's an isometric movement. You're gonna drag your heels towards your sit bones. And we're gonna go back and forth there. tiny movement. Tiny movement, turning up the temperature though, let me tell you. Keep breathing. Soft shoulders. You can also do this in a seated position in a chair. And I like to do that if I'm, working at the computer for a long time. If your chair has wheels, lock them before you do this. One more each way. Posterior, anterior. Okay, so now you're going to kind of find the middle. Find the middle in between those. And you've already got a nice braced, a nice stacked up rib cage. Your rib cage is stacked over your pelvis. Go ahead and take your hands off. And as you do that, you might notice that your abs turn on a little bit more. Okay, so if you want extra support, bring your hands down behind you. If you don't need that extra support, you can lift your arms out in front of you. So your hip flexors might be starting to get a little tired. Let's see how it would feel for your lower back to scoop your tailbone under a scotch, okay? Just a scotch. And that might take a little pressure off of your hip flexors and bring it into your core instead. Okay. And then you can play around with lifting one leg and then the other. So again, if your hip flexors or your legs start to get more tired, play around with shifting the weight into the back of the pelvis, okay? And letting your lower core do more of the work. So maybe you just stay here. Or maybe you bring your hands together, interlace your fingers, and you're gonna kind of imagine that you're swinging an axe. So that was really a terrible analogy, wasn't it? Nobody swings an axe like this. What's another way that we can, maybe it's a fire hose? Keep your arms straight. Paint a rainbow with both hands. I like that better. Paint a rainbow over your legs with both hands. Again, if your hip flexors are starting to feel it, see if you can use your low belly for support. For 3, 2, 1. I'm still laughing at myself for the swinging the axe comment. Okay, now we're gonna lie back down and you're gonna need your block. Okay. Oh, say thank you to the ground for being there to support you. Okay, you're gonna take your block and slide it under your pelvis. I've got mine on the lowest setting, but you can go up higher if you want to. It's totally up to you. And then you're just gonna start to walk your legs out straight, any amount, giving those hip flexors a nice little break, letting your spine kind of get a little length and traction, stretching through the belly, which we've been kind of condensing and kind of crunching through a little bit. So you're just gonna lay here and breathe for a few moments. You can let your legs relax. I feel a little bit more happiness in the fronts of my hips when I keep my toes pointing up towards the ceiling. So maybe you just play around. Oh, how does it feel when I let my legs flop out? And how does it feel when I keep my feet pointing up? Feel how your breath expands your body with the inhale, and feel how your body narrows when you exhale. Enjoy this position and your breath for 3 more breaths. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk the feet back towards the pelvis, bending the knees. And then before you lift your hips up off of the block, just push down through your feet, okay? You're kind of just saying, hey guys, wake up. You were just relaxed for a while. Let's go ahead and wake back up in order to lift the hips up, okay? So now go ahead and press more and lift the hips the rest of the way up so that you can slide the block out and set your hips down. And would you look at that, you are already laying down on your back. So if you want to do a relaxation or a meditation or just a nap, please go ahead and do that right now. But if you're ready to move on with the rest of your day, roll over to one side and slowly sit up. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope your abs feel amazing. I'll see you next time.